All right, guys, I'm going to go ahead and show you how to create boom cards for your students. So you can go ahead and go to boomlearning.com, and if you do, you will end up somewhere here. I already have an account, so in order to create cards for my students, I would go to Studio, and then I would go down here to make a deck. I'm not quite ready to make my deck just yet, but I'm going to go over here to Google or Slides, PowerPoint. So in order to do this, I need to make sure that my size of my slides are set up to a custom size for 7 inches wide and 5 inches high. And that's already set for me. I went ahead and added in my pictures. I'm going to go ahead and shrink these down just a tad so that I can give myself some space for my text boxes once I get those put into the boom cards. So that's why we'll have this bigger gap up here on our slides. So we'll leave it as that. And then I'm done here. I'm going to go ahead and hit File, Export, call this your Ecosystem Boom Cards 2, and then export this as a JPEG file, every slide, export, and each slide is already done. So now we're good to go. I'm going to go ahead and enlarge this so you can see. Now we'll go to create a new deck. The thing that I really enjoy about boom cards is it creates a template card for you, and all of the rest of your cards in your deck follow that template. So what we'll do is add a background. I already uploaded these, but if you don't know how to do that, you would just click upload and then go to your file, which is right here for me. If you click Control or Command for Mac users and you click on the ones that you want, it will go ahead and select those, and you would just hit open, and then they're in your files over here. So I'm going to click this first one. Actually, we're going to go change this to the ones that I fixed. So that way we have more space to type. So there we go. So then we add another card, which is perfect. I want 2 of each different background. So I want an additional card with my new background, and then do a new card with my new background, which is this one. And then my last card, which will have my last background. Oops, that's not the right one. This one. There we go. Okay. And so from here, here's back to my template card. I'm going to go ahead and add a text box up here where I will ask my questions. So for this one, I want it to say, select the consumers. So I like it to be a little prettier. Go in and change it up a little bit, make it a little bigger. And we can go ahead and change our font color. That one's a little harder to see, so maybe we do this darker. Okay. So then I would go in and add buttons. So for my button, I don't want it to have text. I just want it to be clear so my students can see behind it, and for them to be able to see kind of a button icon around it. So now this is going to be wrong, and I also want it to be outlined. I now want to duplicate and say my C line. So my C line's a little bigger, so I want to stretch out my box. A C line is a consumer, so I want to say correct and then outline. Now I want to make another box. Oh, so this is my sea ice, but I want to capture my polar bear up here, which is actually going to be, so we'll shrink that so my students know. So my sea lion down here, he's also a consumer and he'll get outlined, but let's shrink him in just a little bit so my students don't mistake it for the zooplankton. We'll go ahead and duplicate again. Let's come down here to the organic deposits. This is not correct. This is not a consumer, so we'll go ahead and make that indication here. Make another duplicate. Oops, we shrunk that all kinds of funky. We'll go over here into sedimentation, bring this down a little bit. And this is also wrong. And let's see. Let's add another one for my lobster down here. And we'll leave it at that. So just to get a quick idea of what your students will be able to see, you can go ahead and click on preview. Because we have multiple options that would be correct, it won't give them an immediate response to give away the answers. So I could click on the energy, I could click on my polar bear, and I can click on my organic deposits. And then I can submit my answer and it's going to tell me I'm wrong. So I can try again. So I can say yes to this, and yes to this. Now I can submit. Now I'm correct. It'll let me move forward in my boom cards. So now I want to go back in and edit a little more. So over here, it looks like my sedimentation didn't get its outline and it's wrong. So there we go. So we got that all taken care of now. So for this one, I want my students to select the energy source. And so for this one, now all I'm having to do is go in and change what is correct and what's incorrect. So my polar bear is not going to be an energy source, nor is my sea lion, nor is my lobster. So again, we can go double check on it, and this one has one answer, so we're all good. So then we can go back over here to my new picture, and we can move around these boxes. Oh. I won't be able to move around these boxes, so what I'll do instead is just change my background and go back to my fish. So if you wanted to make this a multiple, you would have to create different decks then for the different pictures, which is still fine because you have everything that you need here. So let's say I want my students to identify, select the let's say tertiary consumer. So again, I can go in here and change up what's going on and make sure that the correct answers are selected. So since I'm not going to go use these, we'll go ahead and delete these slides that are down here. And delete those cards that I no longer need. And there's my tertiary. So for now, I have a deck of 3. So we can preview it all from the start. My consumers, here we are. Submit, I got it right. Awesome job. Here's my energy source, and then my tertiary consumer. Awesome. Go back. So now I'm done here. So I want to go over here and so now I'm done with my slides and I can now share this deck with anyone I want, and I can also go and assign them. So here are my classes that are put in here from Google Classroom. So I'm just going to select one. So I could go in here and under assignments, I would assign a new deck. So I can pick my deck that I've created. Let's go back over here. So here's my studio, and here's my untitled deck. Oh. So here we want to go ahead and change the name to it, Ecosystems Deck. And then we'll say this is for 7th grade. We can add the subject is science, all that good jazz, and now publish. And so now when I go back over here to my classes, now it should come up as one of my decks I can assign. So Ecosystems deck, so I would just not play it. I would just select it right here, and then I would be able to show only the assigned decks. So I would be able to assign it. I can assign it either through Google Classroom, or I can give my students the link. I like to give them the link, and then they use their school information to access the boom cards.